Marcus wiped sweat from his forehead as he walked through the busy halls of Nexus Prime. The space station was huge, with aliens from dozens of different worlds buying and selling everything you could imagine. The air smelled like metal and strange, spices from faraway planets. He had been flying alone for 3 months now. His last partner, Jake, had quit after pirates attacked their ship near the Titan Belt. Jake said he was done with the dangerous life of space hauling. Marcus understood, but it left him in a tough spot. Running a freight ship alone was hard work, and the galaxy was getting more dangerous every day. Marcus stopped at a small cafe and ordered black coffee. The blue-skinned server looked at him with 4 eyes and made a sound that might have been laughter. Humans and their coffee addiction were famous across the galaxy. "Long trip ahead?" the server asked in broken English. "Yeah. Solo run to the outer rim. Not looking forward to it," Marcus replied. The server's face showed something like sympathy. "You need partner, yes? Many humans come here looking for crew." Marcus nodded. He had been thinking about it for weeks. The problem was finding someone trustworthy. Space pirates weren't the only danger out there. Some crew members would steal your cargo and leave you floating in space. After finishing his coffee, Marcus walked toward the station's employment district. He passed shops selling weapons, ship parts, and strange alien foods. Then he saw a sign that made him pause. Companion services, legal contracts available. Marcus had heard about companion contracts but never seriously considered one. It was a system where different alien species would contract out their people for work. The contracts were legal, but many humans thought it was too close to slavery. Marcus wasn't sure what to think. He stood outside the shop for several minutes, watching people go in and out. Most customers were aliens, big, intimidating species that looked like they could crush a human without trying. Finally, curiosity won over his doubts, and he went inside. The shop was cleaner than he expected. Behind a curved desk sat a Thraxian merchant, one of those lizard-like aliens with sharp teeth and cold yellow eyes. The walls were covered with screens showing different aliens and their skills. "Human customer," the Thraxian said with fake enthusiasm. "You look for worker, yes? I have many good options for your species." "I'm not sure," Marcus said honestly. "I need help running a freight ship. Someone good with navigation and cargo management." The merchant's eyes lit up. "Ah, I have perfect choice. Veltari female, very smart. Good with numbers and computers. Only problem." He paused and looked embarrassed. "What kind of problem?" Marcus asked. "She is, how you say, defective. Too emotional for normal Veltari work. Failed military training because she asks too many questions. Other customers return her because she talks too much." The merchant lowered his voice. "But she very good with technical work, and cheap price for you." Marcus felt uncomfortable. The way the merchant talked about her like broken equipment bothered him, but he was curious despite himself. "Can I meet her?" The merchant nodded and pressed a button on his desk. A few minutes later, a door opened and a female Veltari walked in. She was about Marcus's height with green-scaled skin and large golden eyes. She wore simple gray clothes and kept her head down. "This is Kira," the merchant said. "Kira, show the human your skills." Kira looked up at Marcus and he was surprised by what he saw in her eyes. Most Veltari he had met seemed cold and emotionless, but Kira's eyes showed intelligence, curiosity, and something that looked like hope. "I can handle navigation systems for most ship types," she said in clear English. "I know cargo management protocols and basic ship maintenance. I also speak 7 galactic languages and can—" She stopped talking and looked at the merchant nervously. "See? Too much talking," the merchant said with annoyance. "But she tells truth about skills." Marcus ignored the merchant and spoke directly to Kira. "What kind of ships have you worked on?" Her eyes brightened. "Mostly Corvan freight haulers and some human-built vessels. Human ships are interesting because they use different engine systems than most alien designs. The fusion drives are more efficient, but they require more careful monitoring of—" "Enough," the merchant snapped. "You see what I mean? She cannot. Stop with the questions and talking." Marcus found himself getting angry at the merchant's rudeness. But what bothered him more was how Kira immediately went quiet and looked down again. It reminded him of a dog that had been kicked too many times. "What's the contract length?" Marcus asked. "Standard 5-year agreement. Very reasonable price because of her problems." Marcus looked at Kira again. She was watching him with those golden eyes, and he could see she was trying not to look hopeful. Something about her reminded him of himself when he was younger, eager to learn but always getting in trouble for asking too many questions. "I'll take the contract," Marcus said suddenly. The merchant looked surprised but quickly started preparing the paperwork. Kira's eyes went wide, and for a moment Marcus thought he saw her smile before she controlled her expression. 20 minutes later, they walked out of the shop together. Kira carried a small bag with her few possessions. Marcus felt strange about the whole situation. He had just bought a 5-year contract on another person's life. It felt wrong even if it was legal. "My ship is in docking bay 12, he told her as they walked through the station. "It's not much to look at, but it's reliable." "What kind of freight do you usually carry?" Kira asked, then quickly added, "Sorry, I know I asked too many questions." Marcus stopped walking and looked at her. "Don't apologize for being curious, and don't let anyone tell you that asking questions is a problem. Questions are how we learn things." Kira stared at him like he had said something impossible. After a moment, she nodded slowly. As they continued toward the docking bay, Marcus wondered what he had gotten himself into. He needed a crew member, not a friend. But something told him that this arrangement was going to be more complicated than he planned. He just hoped it would be the good kind of complicated. The first week aboard Marcus's ship, the Wanderer, was full of surprises. Marcus had expected Kira to be quiet and efficient like most Veltari he had met. Instead, she asked questions about everything. "Why do humans play music while working?" she asked on the second day, watching Marcus hum along to an old rock song while checking cargo containers. Marcus paused his work. "Makes the time pass faster. Helps me focus too." "Don't your people listen to music?" Kira shook her head. "Veltari consider music a waste of mental energy. We are taught that silence helps with concentration." "That sounds boring," Marcus said. "Honestly. Want to try it? I have thousands of songs in the ship's computer." Kira's golden eyes lit up with interest, but then she looked worried. "Is that allowed?" The question made Marcus sad. How many times had she been told that her curiosity wasn't allowed? "Kira, you're part of this crew now. If you want to listen to music, listen to music." By the end of the week, Kira had discovered she loved classical music. She would play Bach and Mozart while working on navigation calculations, her scaled fingers moving in time with the melodies. Marcus caught her smiling several times, though she tried to hide it when she noticed him watching. The second week brought another surprise. Marcus had shown Kira the ship's small hydroponics bay, where he grew fresh vegetables during long trips. Most crew members saw it as just another part of the ship to maintain. Kira saw it as magic. "You can grow food in space?" she asked, touching a tomato plant with gentle fingers. "Sure. Just need the right setup. These tomatoes will be ready to eat in a few days." Kira spent her free time in the hydroponics bay, learning how each plant grew. She asked Marcus to teach her about earth vegetables, and soon she was suggesting improvements to make the plants grow better. Her analytical mind found patterns in plant growth that Marcus had never noticed. The lighting system could be more efficient, she said one evening, showing Marcus her calculations on a tablet. "If we adjust the spectrum during different growth phases, we could increase yield by 20%. Marcus looked at her work and whistled softly. "This is really good. Where did you learn about plant biology?" Kira looked embarrassed. "I read about it in the ship's database. I know I should focus on navigation work, but I find earth biology fascinating. Veltari plants are much simpler." "Don't apologize," Marcus said firmly. "This could save us money on food supplies. Keep studying, whatever interests you." The third week was when other people started noticing their unusual partnership. They stopped at Kepler Station for fuel and supplies, and Marcus brought Kira with him to the market. Most aliens kept their contracted workers close and silent. Marcus let Kira explore and ask questions about everything she saw. At a spice vendor's stall, Kira became excited about the different smells and flavors. The vendor, a friendly Alteran with blue skin and tentacles for arms, enjoyed explaining his products to someone so interested. "Your companion is very curious," the vendor said to Marcus. "Most Veltari are not like this." "She's not just curious," Marcus replied. "She's smart, probably smarter than me." A nearby Thraxian trader overheard and snorted with laughter. "Human, you spoil your property. Veltari female should know her place. You make trouble for yourself." Marcus felt anger rise in his chest. "She's not property. She's my crew member." The Thraxian looked confused. "But you own contract, yes? She must obey. The contract says she works for me. It doesn't say I have to treat her badly." Later, as they walked back to the ship, Kira was quiet. Finally, she spoke. "Other species think you are foolish for being kind to me." Marcus stopped walking. "Do you think I'm foolish?" Kira was quiet for a long moment. "No, but I do not understand why you are different. Every other contractor I worked for treated me like broken equipment. They were angry when I asked questions or showed interest in things. Maybe that's because they were looking for slaves, not crew members," Marcus said. "I need someone who can think and solve problems. Your curiosity makes you better at the job, not worse." The fourth week brought their biggest test yet. They were carrying medical supplies to a mining colony when the ship's navigation computer started giving strange readings. Marcus was good, with engines and basic repairs, but navigation computers were complex. Kira spent 2 days taking apart the navigation system, her tools spread across the floor. Marcus watched her work with growing amazement. She didn't just fix the problem, she understood how every part connected to every other part. The quantum alignment was off by 0.03 degrees, she explained while putting the last components back together. "It's a common problem in older navigation systems, but most mechanics don't know how to spot it." "How do you know so much about this?" Marcus asked. Kira's expression became sad. "During my military training, I was assigned to technical maintenance. I was good at it, but I kept suggesting improvements to the equipment. My instructors said I was disrespectful for thinking I knew better than the designers." Marcus shook his head in amazement. "They called you defective for being too good at your job?" "Veltari military values obedience over innovation," Kira said simply. That night, Marcus lay in his bunk thinking about everything that had happened. He had bought Kira's contract expecting to get a quiet, efficient worker. Instead, he had found someone who made his ship run better, his food grow faster, and his long days in space more interesting. More than that, he had found a friend. Next morning, he found Kira in the hydroponics bay as usual, tending to the plants while classical music played softly. She was humming along, something he had never heard a Veltari do before. "Morning, Kira. How are our vegetables doing?" She turned toward him with a genuine smile, the first completely unguarded expression he had seen from her. "Very well. The new lighting system is working perfectly. We should have fresh tomatoes with dinner tonight." Marcus smiled back. "Sounds perfect." As he watched her work, Marcus realized something important. Kira wasn't defective at all. She was exactly what she was supposed to be, curious, intelligent, and eager to learn. It was the system that had tried to break her spirit that was defective. He was glad she had ended up on his ship. Very glad indeed. 2 months into their partnership, Marcus and Kira were hauling construction materials to a new colony near the Kepler Junction. It was supposed to be a routine run through well-traveled space routes. Marcus was in the pilot's seat drinking coffee and listening to Kira explain her latest improvement to the ship's power systems. "If we reroute power from the secondary life support during travel, we can boost engine efficiency by 12%, she said, showing him diagrams on her tablet. "You're amazing with this stuff," Marcus said, genuinely impressed. "I've been flying for 10 years and never thought of that." Kira smiled, something she did much more often now. Different perspectives see different solutions. That's when the Proximity alarms started screaming. Marcus jumped to the controls while Kira rushed to the sensor station. 3 ships had appeared from behind a large asteroid, moving fast toward the Wanderer. "Skorath pirates," Kira said, her voice suddenly cold and professional. 3 attack ships, military-grade weapons. Marcus felt his stomach drop. Skorath pirates were the worst kind. They killed crews and sold cargo and ships on the black market. He had heard stories of what they did to prisoners, especially females of other species. "Can we outrun them?" he asked, pushing the engines to maximum power. Kira's fingers flew over the sensor controls. "Negative. They are faster and will catch us in 4 minutes, but..." She paused, studying the asteroid field around them. "I have an idea." "I'm listening." "The asteroids here contain iron deposits. They will interfere with their targeting systems if we stay close to the large rocks. Also, their ships are bigger than ours, less maneuverable in tight spaces." Marcus had never fought pirates before, but he trusted Kira completely. "Tell me what to do." For the next 20 minutes, Kira guided Marcus through the asteroid field like she was born for it. Her analytical mind calculated trajectories and angles while her defective creativity found solutions that no normal Veltari would think of. "Turn 15 degrees left. Now dive under that asteroid," she called out, watching 3 different screens at once. "Their lead ship is trying to get a missile lock. In 3 seconds, cut engines and drift." Marcus followed her instructions exactly. The Wanderer went dark and silent, floating behind a massive rock while the pirate ships flew past, searching for them. "Now what?" Marcus whispered. "Now we hunt them," Kira said with a cold smile that reminded Marcus she had been trained as a warrior. What happened next amazed Marcus. Kira turned their cargo hauler into a ghost, using the asteroids for cover while guiding Marcus to strike at the pirates when they least expected it. She had Marcus fire their small defense guns at the pirates' sensor arrays, blinding them one by one. "How do you know their weak points?" Marcus asked as they disabled the second pirate ship. "I studied many ship designs during my technical training. Skorath ships prioritize weapons over defense. Their sensor clusters are poorly protected. The third pirate ship was larger and more dangerous. Its captain was smarter too and stopped chasing them through the asteroids. Instead, he waited in open space, knowing the Wanderer would have to come out eventually. "We're trapped," Marcus said. "He's got better weapons and armor." Kira studied her screens for a long moment. "Not trapped. We have advantages he doesn't know about." She explained her plan quickly. It was crazy, dangerous, and probably impossible. It was also brilliant. Marcus flew the Wanderer straight at the pirate ship like he was surrendering. The pirate captain, thinking he had won, moved closer to capture them. At the last second, Kira activated the power boost she had designed, and Marcus spun the ship in a move that should have been impossible for a cargo hauler. The Wanderer's engines, running at 112% power, created a blast of superheated plasma that fried the pirate ship's weapon systems. Before the pirates could react, Kira had Marcus position their ship directly above the pirates' engine section. "One shot at their reactor housing," she said calmly. "Right there." Marcus fired. The pirate ship's engines exploded, leaving it drifting powerless in space. As they flew away from the disabled pirates, Marcus was shaking with leftover fear and excitement. "That was incredible. Where did you learn to fight like that?" Kira was quiet for a moment. "I didn't learn to fight like that. Veltari military tactics are very different." "What do you mean?" "Veltari doctrine is about overwhelming force and following established battle plans. What we just did, using creativity and adaptation in combat, that's not how my people fight." Marcus stared at her. "Then how did you know what to do?" "I didn't know," Kira admitted. "I just saw problems and tried to solve them. Each pirate ship was a puzzle with weaknesses to find, but your instructors said you failed military training." Kira's golden eyes became sad. "I failed because I asked too many questions. I wanted to know why we used certain tactics, if there were better ways to fight, how enemy ships worked. My instructors said I was too curious, too creative. They said good soldiers follow orders, not think of new ideas." Marcus felt angry on her behalf. So they threw away someone who could think like a tactical genius because she didn't fit their rules? Yes. They said I was defective. They were idiots, Marcus said firmly. What you just did? I've never seen anything like it. You turned a cargo ship into a weapon using nothing but your brain. During the fight, Kira had been hit by debris from one of the explosions. Her left arm was bleeding green blood through torn scales. Marcus insisted on treating her wounds in the ship's small medical bay. As he cleaned and bandaged her arm, Kira was unusually quiet. Finally, she spoke. Marcus, can I tell you something? Of course. In my entire life, no one has ever cared if I was hurt before. When I was injured during training, the instructor said pain would make me stronger. Previous contractors only cared if injuries stopped me from working. Marcus looked up from the bandage he was applying. What do you mean? You are worried about me. Not about losing a worker, but about me as a person. I have never experienced this before. Marcus felt his heart break a little. Kira, of course. I'm worried about you. You're not just my crew member, you're my friend. Kira stared at him with wide golden eyes. Friend? Yes, friend. Someone I care about, someone I trust, someone I enjoy spending time with. For a moment, Marcus thought Kira might cry. Instead, she nodded slowly. I have never had a friend before, she said quietly. Well, you have one now, Marcus said, finishing the bandage. And friends take care of each other. As they continued toward their destination, Marcus realized something important had changed. The pirate attack had shown him that Kira wasn't just smart or curious or kind. She was also brave, creative, and incredibly capable when the situation demanded it. All the things her people called defects were exactly the things that had saved both their lives. Marcus was beginning to understand that the problem wasn't with Kira at all. The problem was with anyone who couldn't see how special she really was. 3 weeks after the pirate attack, Marcus noticed Kira becoming quiet and nervous. She still worked with her usual skill, but her cheerful curiosity was replaced by worried looks at the navigation charts. Everything okay? Marcus asked one morning, finding her staring at their route display. Kira jumped, startled. Yes, everything is fine. But Marcus could tell she was lying. He had learned to read her expressions over the past few months. Something was bothering her badly. The answer came when he checked their next delivery destination, Velt Prime, the Veltari homeworld. Kira, he called out, can you come here for a minute? She appeared in the doorway and Marcus could see fear in her golden eyes. Our next cargo pickup is on Velt Prime, he said gently. Is that why you've been worried? Kira nodded slowly. I have not been home in 3 years. My family, they will not be happy to see me. What happened with your family? Kira sat down heavily in the co-pilot's chair. When I failed military training, I brought shame to my clan. Veltari families are judged by their children's success. Having a daughter who was too emotional, too curious, too defective, it hurt their reputation. So they disowned you. My father said I was no longer worthy of the family name. My mother agreed. They said I should find work off-world and never return. Kira's voice became very quiet. They said I was broken beyond repair. Marcus felt anger burning in his chest. How could parents say such things to their own child? Well, they were wrong. You're not broken. You're one of the most capable people I've ever met. Kira smiled sadly. You see me differently than my people do. On Velt Prime, I will be the failed daughter who brings shame wherever she goes. 2 days later, they arrived at Velt Prime's orbital station. The planet below was beautiful but cold-looking, with silver cities and perfect geometric patterns. Everything looked organized and efficient, very different from the warm, chaotic feeling of human colonies. At the docking bay, they were met by a tall Veltari male in military uniform. His scales were darker green than Kira's, and his golden eyes were cold and judgmental. I am Commander Thex, he announced. I have come to inspect the contracted worker from this vessel. Marcus felt Kira tense beside him. Commander Thex was my training instructor, she whispered. Thex looked at Kira with obvious disgust. So the defective one has returned. I am surprised any contractor has kept you this long. Usually your emotional problems cause you to be returned within weeks. She's not defective, Marcus said firmly. She's an excellent crew member. Thex laughed a harsh sound. Human, you do not understand Veltari. This female is damaged goods. She failed every military standard, shows inappropriate emotions, and asks too many questions. She is unfit for proper work. Marcus stepped forward. What I understand is that she saved my life, improved my ship's efficiency, and shown skills that most people only dream of having. Impossible, Thex said. I trained her myself. She has no useful abilities. Really? Marcus pulled out his tablet and showed Thex the navigation records from their fight with the pirates. She single-handedly defeated 3 Scoreth attack, ships using tactical creativity I've never seen before. Thex studied the data, his expression changing from dismissal to confusion to something that might have been surprise. This is not standard Veltari combat doctrine, he said slowly. No, it's better, Marcus replied. She didn't follow a rulebook. She analyzed the situation and found solutions no one else would think of. That is exactly the problem, Thex snapped. Veltari do not improvise, we follow proven methods. Her need to think differently is a severe defect. Behind them, other Veltari had gathered to listen. Marcus could see them looking at Kira with the same cold judgment as Thex. I have decided, Thex announced loudly. This female's contract will be transferred to Merchant Vex. He specializes in correcting behavioral problems in defective workers. Marcus felt his blood turn cold. What kind of correction? Discipline training, Thex said with satisfaction. Merchant Vex will teach her to follow orders without question, to suppress her inappropriate emotions, and to stop asking useless questions. It will be painful, but necessary. Marcus looked at Kira and saw terror in her eyes. She knew what discipline training meant. No, Marcus said clearly. What? Thex looked confused. I said no. Her contract stays with me. Human, you do not understand. I have the legal right to transfer any Veltari worker to a more suitable contractor, especially one who can correct her obvious problems. And I have the legal right to refuse the transfer, Marcus replied, pulling out his contract documents. According to Galactic Trade Law Section 47B, no contract can be transferred without the agreement of the current holder. Thex read the documents, his face growing darker. This is true, but you are making a mistake. This female will never be fixed while you encourage her defects. I don't want her fixed, Marcus said loudly so everyone could hear. I want her exactly as she is. Her curiosity makes her a better navigator. Her emotions make her a loyal friend. Her creativity saved both our lives. Everything you call a defect, I call a strength. The crowd of Veltari looked shocked. Some began whispering among themselves. You are insane, Thex said. No rational being would prefer a defective worker over a corrected one. Then I guess I'm insane, Marcus replied. But I'm also smart enough to recognize value when I see it. He turned to Kira, who was staring at him with amazement. Kira, your contract has 1 more year left. When it expires, you'll be free to choose what you want to do. If you want to stay and work with me as an equal partner, the job is yours. If you want to do something else, I'll help you however I can. Kira's eyes filled with tears, something that made the other Veltari look disgusted. You would want me to stay? As a partner, not property? You haven't been property for months, Marcus said gently. You've been my friend and my crewmate. The contract is just paperwork. Thex made a sound of disgust. This is exactly what is wrong with her. Look at those inappropriate emotions. Merchant Vex could fix that. Marcus turned to face Thex directly. Commander, with all due respect, there's nothing wrong with her. The problem is with people who think curiosity is a defect, emotions are weakness, and creativity is dangerous. You will regret this decision. Human, Thex warned. The only thing I regret, Marcus said, is that it took me this long to realize what an amazing person she is. As they walked back to their ship, Kira was quiet. Finally, she spoke. Marcus, why did you do that? You could have made money by letting them transfer my contract. Marcus stopped walking and looked at her seriously. Kira, you're not a contract to me. You're not property or a worker or a project to be fixed. You're my friend, and friends don't abandon each other. That night, as they prepared to leave Velt Prime, Marcus found Kira in the hydroponics bay. She was tending to the plants while classical music played softly, just like always, but this time she wasn't trying to hide her smile. Thank you, she said simply. For what? For seeing me as a person instead of a problem to be solved. Marcus smiled. That's what friends do. As the Wanderer left Velt Prime behind, Marcus realized that something fundamental had changed. The legal contract still had a year left, but the real relationship between them had already evolved into something much deeper. He just hoped Kira would choose to stay when the time came. 1 year later, Marcus stood in the conference room of New Haven Station, watching Kira prepare for their presentation. She wore a crisp blue uniform with captain stripes, her own choice after their business partnership had grown into something neither of them had imagined. Are you nervous? Marcus asked. Kira smiled, the kind of free, genuine smile she had learned to share without hiding. Excited, not nervous, this presentation could help so many others. Through the large windows, Marcus could see their 3 ships docked at the station. The original Wanderer, now upgraded and improved, plus 2 newer vessels, the Explorer and the Pioneer. Each ship had mixed crews of humans and aliens working together as equals. The door opened, and delegates from dozens of different species filed in. Marcus recognized traders, government officials, and labor representatives from across the galaxy. Word of their unusual business model had spread, and everyone wanted to understand how it worked. Welcome, everyone, Marcus began. I'm Marcus Chen, and this is my business partner, Captain Kira. We're here to talk about interspecies workplace cooperation. But first, Kira added, let me tell you a story about how we met. For the next hour, they told their story. Marcus explained how he had bought Kira's contract expecting a quiet worker, and instead found a brilliant, curious person who had been labeled as defective by her own society. Kira described her journey from shame and silence to confidence and leadership. The key insight, Marcus said, is that traits one species considers weaknesses might be exactly what another species values most. A Corvin delegate raised a tentacle to ask a question. But surely some standardization is necessary. How do you maintain discipline with such emotional workers? Kira answered smoothly. We don't maintain discipline through fear or punishment. We maintain it through mutual respect and shared goals. When people feel valued for who they are, they work harder and better than any forced compliance could achieve. An elderly human woman from the Traders Guild spoke up. We've heard reports that your cargo runs are more efficient and safer than standard operations. How is this possible? Because we use everyone's strengths, Marcus replied. Our Veltari crew members excel at navigation and technical analysis. Our human crew members are good at creative problem-solving and adaptation. Our Altaran engineer sees patterns in ship systems that others miss. When you combine different perspectives instead of trying to make everyone the same, you get better results. After the formal presentation, smaller groups gathered around Marcus and Kira for more detailed discussions. But Marcus noticed one person, sitting alone in the corner, a young Thraxian female who looked nervous and out of place. He walked over to her. I'm Marcus. Are you okay? The Thraxian looked up with large, frightened eyes. I am Nina. I work for Merchant Gort under contract. He brought me here to learn about your methods, but... She hesitated. But what? But I think he wants to find ways to make contracted workers more obedient, not more equal. Marcus felt familiar anger rising. What kind of work do you do for him? I am supposed to be a translator, but I also fix his computers and manage his accounts. He says I am too helpful, that it makes other workers lazy. He wants me to do only translation work. You're good with computers? Marcus asked. Nina nodded eagerly. I love learning how different systems work together, but Merchant Gort says curiosity is dangerous for workers. Marcus and Kira exchanged a look. They had heard this story too many times. "Nina," Kira said gently, "would you like to see our ships? We could use someone with your skills." That evening, Marcus and Kira walked through the station's market district. Their conversation was interrupted by a group of young aliens approaching them nervously. "Excuse me," said a Corvan teenager. "Are you really Captain Kira, the one who chose to stay with humans instead of returning to her homeworld?" "I am," Kira replied. "Why do you ask?" "My name is Talon. I am starting work age soon, but I do not want the job my family chose for me. They say I must follow tradition, but I dream of exploring space. Everyone says this is impossible because Corvan are not meant for adventure." "Who says Corvan are not meant for adventure?" Marcus asked. "Everyone. It is not our way." Kira knelt down to the young Corvan's level. "Talon, let me tell you something important. I was told that Veltari are not meant to show emotions, ask questions, or think creatively. But those things make me who I am, and they make me good at my job. Sometimes what everyone says is impossible is just waiting for the right person to prove them wrong." More young aliens had gathered around, listening carefully to every word. "But how do we find the courage?" asked a shy Alteran girl. "You start small," Marcus said. "You ask one question that interests you. You try one thing that excites you. You take one step toward what you really want, even if others say it's wrong for your species." Over the next few days, Marcus and Kira received dozens of messages from young aliens across the galaxy. Some wanted jobs with their company. Others just wanted advice about following their dreams despite family or cultural pressure. "We started something bigger than we realized," Kira said one evening as they reviewed the messages. "Good," Marcus replied. "The galaxy needs changing." 6 months later, Marcus stood on the bridge of the Wanderer, watching Kira train their newest crew member, Nina, the Thraxian they had met at the conference. She had chosen to leave Merchant Gord and join their company, and her computer skills had already improved their operation significantly. "Nina, remember that the navigation computer links to the cargo management system," Kira was explaining. "If you optimize the routing algorithm, you can also balance the cargo load for better fuel efficiency." "I see it," Nina said excitedly. "The systems work better when they share information instead of operating separately." "Exactly. Different parts working together are stronger than any part working alone." Marcus smiled, remembering when Kira had been the one asking eager questions and making brilliant connections. Now she was the teacher, passing on not just technical knowledge but also the confidence to think freely and ask questions. Their communication system chimed with an incoming message. Marcus opened it and laughed. "Good news?" Kira asked. "The best. Commander Thex from Velt Prime wants to hire us for a cargo run. Apparently some young Veltari have been asking their families why they can't work with humans who appreciate creative thinking." Kira's golden eyes sparkled with amusement. "And what did you tell him?" "I told him we'd be happy to take the job, but he should know that we might accidentally inspire more young Veltari to think for themselves." "Accidentally?" Marcus grinned. "Well, maybe not so accidentally." As the Wanderer prepared to jump to hyperspace, Marcus looked around the bridge, at their diverse crew. Nina was working eagerly at her station, still asking questions about everything she saw. Tom, their new human engineer, was discussing engine modifications with Zara, their Alteran pilot. Everyone was talking, laughing, and sharing ideas freely. This was what the galaxy could be like, Marcus thought. Not different species trying to force each other into narrow roles, but everyone working together and bringing their unique strengths to solve common problems. "Course laid in," Kira announced from the captain's chair. "Take us out, Captain," Marcus said. As the stars stretched into lines around them, Marcus felt proud of what they had built together. They had started with a simple contract between a lonely human and a supposedly defective alien. Now they were part of something that was changing how species across the galaxy saw each other. The best part was that this was just the beginning.